Today, we're speaking with Bill Nebiolo from REM Surface Engineering, who is also chairman of this year's NASF SUR Technical Advisory Committee. This year, they'll be having 84 technical presentations over 12 tracks over 2 days. And Bill, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much, Tim, for the invitation to speak to folks who are interested in the conference this year.
Sure. And like I said, lots of talks, 84 talks. Like I said, you got 12 very discrete tracks. Why don't we just jump into it and maybe highlight some of the tracks? Now you've added a couple, you've added a new one, and you've got some that are really top of mind to finishers nowadays. So if you want to just kind of briefly walk us through some of those that you think that people should really pay attention to. All of them are important, but there's some that are really, I think, going to be very good for finishers to attend.
Yeah, that's correct, Tim. I think I'm really excited about what we put together this year, especially in the aerospace and defense area. There's been a lot of development work recently on the zinc nickel finishing techniques for aerospace. And in fact, when we put out a call for abstract, we got so many finishes, and there was so many presentations for zinc nickel finishing that it was an outstanding presentation to put together just for that particular track. So I think anybody who's got that in what they do, especially if they're working in that particular industry, is really going to find that that particular session is going to be of significant interest. We've also got the traditional developments relative to new and exciting things which are coming out in the industry. And I think that there's a lot of opportunities there that people are going to see relative to different techniques. We actually did put together this year a nice track in light metal processing. It's a topic that hasn't been visited in many, many years and has been absent from recent SURFIN conferences. So we're excited to dip our toe again back into the world of anodizing and aluminum processing. There's some interesting talks about dyeing and different techniques, even a processing technique on brush anodizing. So, most people are familiar with brush plating, but not quite brush anodizing. So I think that's going to be of an interest. In the automotive industry, we have two tracks, and we've put those sessions in an alignment. So there will be a morning session and an afternoon session for people who are automotive centric. They can attend both and not worry about sacrificing one or the other because the sessions will not be run concurrently. So we specifically set it up that way. But there's going to be some interesting talks on developments and plating on plastics, which I think is very exciting, and almost an entire session related to electric vehicles and the implementation of what's going to be coming down the road for folks who are getting more and more involved in electrical vehicles. And as you know, it's really taking over the industry. We're seeing less and less gasoline powered, a move away from sedans going to SUVs, trucks, and electrical vehicles. So it's becoming a very, very important part of the industry. And we have a session which pretty much touches that very, very well. In our environmental session, we always seem to have an environmental session at every show. There are going to be some topics affecting the chromium reduction, removing hexavalent chrome and going to trichrome, as implicated for some of the complications associated with the REACH focus that started in EU and is going to be spreading really across the United States, as well as the adherent concerns and problems associated with PFAS and PFOA. So those are some of the critical topics that are going to be addressed this year that I think that folks who come may not fit into every single category, but they're certainly going to find topics in any one of the sessions which are going to be of interest to them and be pertinent to what their applications are and their role at work.
Yeah, it seems like there's a great variety of the talks that kind of, that people will, like I said, if they're maybe not interested in one, there's going to be others. It's funny because a lot of this technology, like you mentioned with light metals, with EV, it seems like things are moving at light speed, and things are changing. And, And some of the speakers I know you have are very well in tune to this. So it's really going to be very timely and top of mind for a lot of people who want to come to this.
Tim, we're very fortunate this year that some of the abstracts submitted are from some of the top companies and the top individuals that are well renowned in their particular industry associated with some of the new and current developments which are occurring. So I think people who usually come to the meetings and expect that it's going to be the old tried and true talks and review of what's typical regarding normal processing are going to find that the advancements and new topics are very, very critical and very, very timely. I'm very excited about the conference this year. It's a very good program, and I think people who come are really going to get their money's worth about attending any of these sessions.
Yes.
Very, very good.
Yeah. Like I said, I kind of noted there were a lot of international speakers, people that from Europe, overseas, who were coming and really, bringing some of the latest technology information. And also, it really is good information just for platers to be aware, because some of this may be hitting 5-6 years down the road, but it may be in 2 to 3 years. So, and again, I think a lot of it, like you mentioned, these speakers are pretty much subject matter experts on this.
We've been very fortunate that the COVID-19 situation is beginning to ramp down. And as you know, in 2020, we were unfortunately had to cancel the conference because of the COVID situation. And in 2021, it was postponed from the normal June setting to November of 2021. So this year, the TAC team was challenged for a 6-month turnaround for a conference as opposed to the normal 12. So we were very late in getting the call for abstracts out, but there was a lot of eagerness in the industry to again present. And we were very fortunate this year that the COVID-19 situation has allowed the ability for foreigners to actually travel to the United States, that there aren't those restrictions and opportunities in the past which have been held in place because of restrictions for COVID-19, that they couldn't travel to the United States. So that's opened up the show to having those foreigners come in and bring some new ideas relative to what's happening in the EU and across the globe to the conference. So it's going to be exciting in that regard.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned the committee. I know this is very time consuming for all of you. Kind of walk us through just briefly, you all do the call for papers, then you get the submissions. And I know you all do a very good job of vetting these presentations and making sure that, they're timely and they're very succinct to the industry. But kind of walk us through that process. I mean, it is voluminous and time consuming for the members that you have on a committee.
Sometimes it's juggling cats. I can assure you that, but
right.
we do have our challenges. The committee, fortunately, is a blend of 14 individuals. So we have people from suppliers, we have people that are associated with metal finishing research. We have people who are basically field engineers and service people. Like myself, I am a sales engineer that works for REM. And I've been involved in the metal finishing industry for 45 years. And amongst that mix, we have expertise across the entire spectrum of metal finishing. So we do have people who are light metal specialists. We have people who are involved in aerospace and defense, as well as automotive, as people who are line operators and supervisors in metal finishing job shops and facilities around the United States. So we bring an entire spectrum to the table. Relative to the abstracts, of course, we get quite a variety, and this year we had over 125 different abstracts. So as you go through them, you're trying to vet them out to present the most talented and most topically interesting presentations to the folks who want to come to the conference and be educated by attending the TAC session. So that is done with a lot of care. The first step would be to take those abstracts and organize them into comparable sessions. Aerospace items here, automotive here, light metals coloring there, and to then assign experts in that particular field to review those and do the vetting on those presentations. And of course, what we're trying to do is bring an educated value. People are going to pay some money to go to this conference, and we want them to get their money's worth and come away from the conference after 2 days of sessions feeling that they really learned something and that was critical. The last thing you want to have is a speaker at a session who is keeping you involved with just a 30-minute sales pitch, right? So we try to avoid that and try to make sure that the applications and what they're talking about are timely and are relevant to what's really happening and what people are faced with in the world. So after we do all that vetting, we will then assign them to certain sessions and try to put together an appropriate alignment of sessions which flows well and doesn't clash concurrently. You don't want to have two automotive sessions going on at the same time because anybody who's in one might want to be also in the other one. So we try to spread that out and accommodate people's requests. And at the end of the day, you do have a few cancellations. Somebody can't make a session. Travel arrangements were not possible for somebody. So you do have to do some shuffling towards the end. And it keeps us on our toes, that's for sure. But I think we've got a very nice session put together this year. And I'm looking forward to everybody coming to Rosemont and participating and learning.
Yeah, like I said, this is the industry event. It's the tech conference is 2 days. I know the show goes 3 to 4 days. I know from starts with that, but it definitely, if you're in the finishing industry, if you're in the electroplating industry, the anodizing industry, this is where you have to be. I mean, to really stay on top of your industry and know what's coming next with that. And like I said, you guys have, I know, a very short turnaround, and I hate to say it, but right after this conference, you're probably going to start planning for the next one. So you all, I think you did a fabulous job this year, you and the committee.
We'll have a month off, and then we'll be getting the call for abstracts out again. Typically, with that call goes out in September, and we start fielding abstracts in October, and then that goes to December. Well, you can imagine in 2021, the conference in 2021 didn't even occur until November. So we weren't even able to get abstract call out until after Thanksgiving. So it was a very, very compressed time frame this year. But there was a lot of time put in, and we got it accomplished, and we're very excited.
Good. People can go to the NASF SUR website, register. They can get all the information there. All of the abstracts and information is there. But again, Bill, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for all that you all did, you and the committee did. And thanks for taking time out to kind of talk about some of the highlights and definitely why finishers should be at this conference.
Well, thank you, Tim, for the invitation. It was a pleasure to fill everybody in about what they're going to see and or hear about if they come to the conference and decide to attend some of the tech sessions. We look forward to meeting everyone.